Looking at history, it will become evident that the new enemy of man would not only become global warming, but viruses and bioterrorism to enable militarized social control. Today, public health asserts that microorganisms called viruses are the single cause to disease. This is based on germ theory, a theory perpetrated by politically controlled science that has been disproven by many scientists, more of which we will explore towards the end of the series. We have been told that viruses are the enemy of man, but what exactly is a virus? In this article, How Viruses Work, it states that, unlike human cells or bacteria, viruses don't contain the chemical machinery, enzymes, needed to carry out the chemical reactions for life. So a virus must have a host cell, bacteria, plant, or animal, in which to live and make more viruses. Outside of a host cell, viruses cannot function. For this reason, viruses tread the fine line that separates living things from non-living things. Later in this article it states, because a virus is merely a set of genetic instructions surrounded by a protein coat, and because it does not carry out any biochemical reactions of its own, viruses can live for years or longer outside a host cell. This is a contradiction. No virus has been detected outside of cellular tissue, as it is not a living organism. Incorrectly, viruses are perceived as randomly floating in the air ready to attack us, but this natural object we call a virus, having genetic instructions inside a protein shell, has never been proven to be harmful to cells, infect them, or cause illness, as we shall see. There is much more evidence that they are the body's response to harm. Left brain science cannot see holistic principles such as origin and causality. The first question should be, if a virus can only exist in a cell, then where do viruses come from? And we have answered our own question. Viruses can only be made by cells. The electron microscope found particles in blood serum entering and leaving human cells, and they were instantly assumed to be hijacking the cells to reproduce, even though viruses are 1 billion times smaller than the cell. Viruses have been condemned as poison, as nanoterrorists in our body. From fear of the invisible, we have been taught to greatly fear viruses, and yet scientists have long known that these are fundamental parts of life, made by the millions by healthy cells. There is an intelligence in nature, and a virus would not spontaneously arise from within a cell for no reason. The next holistic question would be, why do cells produce viruses or microbes that we call viruses? If we do not understand natural law, then we might think cells are destructive, and that they, without any reason, produce a product of its own demise, coming from a nihilistic worldview. But under natural law, there would have to be some purpose in the body's creation of viruses. In the 1960s, Dr. Reich Gerd Hammer from Germany created a holistic approach for curing cancer and demonstrated that microbes like bacteria and viruses do not harm the organism, but instead play a supportive role during the healing process from diseases. In 1983, scientists discovered exosomes, extracellular vesicles that contain protein, DNA, and RNA secreted by cells. This description fits viruses so much, many now consider them the same thing. James Hildreth, MD, CEO of Meharry Medical College and former professor at Johns Hopkins, said, "The virus is fully an exosome in every sense of the word." More on this later. By claiming that something our cells naturally produce is the cause of illness, the real causal factors for illness perpetrated by the eugenics medical industrial complex can be hidden. In the book, The Molecular Vision of Life, Caltech, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the Rise of the New Biology, author Lily E. Kay reveals how eugenics and social engineering has shaped the 20th century sciences, which are not at all about the actual scientific method, but applying pseudoscience towards the social control and domination of man.